Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be sharing 2 fun and easy Christmas decor DIYs with you. I will be creating this Christmas wreath, which you may have seen featured in my previous video, and also a Christmas garland. As you can see, I went with the dried orange theme this year. I just think dried orange slices look really cute and they add a really rustic and beautiful pop of colour against all the greenery as well. Both of these DIYs are budget-friendly options for decorating your home. It's a really fun way to get creative, just using the beauty that we can find around us in nature. And it's also a really lovely way to add something a little more personal to your home decor. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video and let's get started. So first up was to prepare the orange slices. Now, I definitely recommend having a look online. This was actually my first time making these, and there are so many different websites and just tips on how to make these. I ended up cutting the oranges into roughly 1 centimeter thick slices and then using a tea towel to try and dab out as much of the moisture and juice as possible. I read that this just helps them dry out a little bit better, and also you get that really nice stained glass effect when you hold up the dried orange slices to the sunlight. I placed them onto a wire tray and then popped that into the oven at 100 degrees Celsius. I did check on them every 10 to 15 minutes just to make sure they weren't burning, and also flip them around from time to time to help them dry out more evenly. I think this can be a bit of trial and error depending on your oven settings. I did actually end up burning a few, but for the most part they turned out pretty well. And I found the entire process took about 1.5 hours to 2 hours total. To make the Christmas wreath, I picked up this wreath base from the store Daiso for a few dollars. I also picked up some floral wire. You can also use some garden twine or any craft wire that you have on hand, as well as some elastic bands. For the greenery, I ended up collecting some fresh rosemary and some English box from the garden. There's really no particular rule when it comes to the greenery. It's just about whatever you can find in your area and just trying to incorporate a few different styles of leaves and textures if you can. Obviously for today's video, I've kept both the wreath and garland fairly minimal, but if I had pine cones on hand, they would definitely be something that I would add to give this wreath a bit more of a woody and rustic element. You can also add things like ribbons or some baubles, or even use some artificial spray-on snow just to give the leaves that white, snowy look, if that's a theme that you're going for this year. So to start off, you just want to put together a combination of the different types of branches that you have. I used a couple of branches of the English box and a couple of branches of the rosemary, and then you want to go ahead and secure the base of that with an elastic band. The wreath base that I used was about 25 centimeters in diameter, so I ended up using about 12 to 13 bundles in total to cover the wreath entirely. Also, if you can, try and keep aside a few extra branches. These will come in really useful at the end just to cover up any gaps and any elastic or wire that might be showing. After that, you want to take your wire and then use that to secure your branches to the wreath base. When you're laying down the branches, you want to position them on a slight angle with the leaves facing outward from the wreath. Try and leave a little bit of loose wire at the start and also at the end, and then take the 2 loose ends and twist them together nice and tightly. And then you just want to repeat this process. So when you're laying down your next set of branches, just position it in a way so that the leaves cover up any elastic and wire from the branches before it. The key is to make sure that the wire is secured as tightly as possible, because as the leaves start to dry up, they do tend to shrink, and then everything will loosen up a little bit. To secure the last set of branches, you just want to tuck the base underneath the leaves of the first branches that we laid down and then secure it from there. After doing this, you will probably notice some gaps in your wreath or some elastic or wire that might be showing. So I just took a few of the extra branches that I had kept aside and tucked them into the wreath to help cover up any of those gaps. For the final touches, take some scissors and just cut off any extra wire that might be sticking out from your wreath. And finally, it was time to add in the dried oranges. Once again, I used the floral wire and poked it through the edge of the orange and twisted it together to form a little loop. And then I took the long end of that wire and wrapped it around the wreath a couple of times and then secured that nice and tightly. And if you want to jazz it up, you can add in some string lights, or you can just leave it as it is, as it's quite beautiful on its own. Next up, I'll be making a Christmas garland. We ended up hanging this on our wall in the dining room, but there are so many ways to use this. You can hang it across your windows or sit it above your fireplace, and you can also use it as a centerpiece for your dining table, which I'll demonstrate here. To make this, you'll need some string or some twine, a pair of scissors, some dried orange slices, and a whole bunch of different types of greenery. As you can see with the garland that I made, I didn't actually create a lot of space between the branches, and this was actually 2 meters long, so I did end up using a fair amount of greenery, but you can feel free to space out the branches a little more if you do have less of it, and you can just make it to whatever length suits your space. To start off, you want to grab your string and place a selected branch on top, making sure to leave some spare string at the start as you'll need this to hang up your garland. Take your string and wrap it down and around your branch. Then use your index finger and middle finger to twist the string around to form a little triangle like this. And then you want to thread the top of the branch through this triangle and then pull the string tight. This can take a little practice, especially if you're new at this, but once you get the hang of it, it's relatively easy. I went ahead and did a double knot for the first branch just to make it extra secure. And then you can go ahead and place the following branches as close or as far apart as you like to the first branch, and keep repeating this process until you have the desired length for your garland. Once we get to the end, give it a double knot similar to what we did with the first branch, and then cut off any extra string, making sure to leave a little bit extra at the end just to help hang up your garland. And that is pretty much all the hard work done. Then you can take your orange slices, poke a hole through them with something sharp, and then thread some twine through it and just simply tie it onto your garland. And that is it for this video. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below if you do give these a try, and also if you have any tips and tricks of your own. Also, have you made a Christmas wreath or garland at home, and what did you use to decorate it? Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.